Thank you for having me here. It's an honor to speak here about the tax credit bill that John's advancing through tertium quids. He's got it exactly right. A bad, weak bill that does essentially nothing is a real threat. It's an excuse. It's a roadblock. And John is tremendous at sniffing out these roadblocks that are meant to be a placeholder and appease people, but actually not really do anything to solve the problem. You know, before I get into the details of kind of what the tax credit is and some important parts that I think are vital for making a solid bill that will actually change things in this state, I just wanted to kind of give a pep talk on how important education is. We were obsessed for the past couple of years on the government takeover of healthcare, and rightly so. I guess the full government takeover, because they already control about 50% of the resources. But we lost a battle in education a long time ago. Most people didn't even notice that it happened. They control about 90% of the market in education, and it has serious consequences. If you control what children learn for long enough, you can change a culture wholesale. And you know, from what the founding meant to global warming, the relationship between citizen and the state, you know, this has real consequences. And in general, what our children learn in school is not only inadequate, a lot of times is positively harmful. And parents can only do so much to counteract that. So this is vital, I think, for expanding freedom in the next century here and across the country. But more than that, it's also a fiscal necessity. Education is by far the biggest item on state and local budgets. Medicaid pales in comparison. You know, healthcare is the budget buster for the federal level, but for state and local revenue, you know, on average across the country, 27 cents out of every dollar raised by state and local governments goes to public K-12 education, and in comparison, just 8 cents go to Medicaid. It's huge, a huge portion of the general budget, close to half in most states, some places over half now with the recession. It's breaking the bank. We've increased spending tremendously over especially the last 10 years with the run-up in property values, and they're not cutting back really very much at all, if at all. During the recession, they're protecting the waste and inefficiencies there as well. We spend about $13,000 per student in Virginia. They don't like to tell you that. A lot of districts are spending a lot more. Here in Richmond, actually, they spend around 17, or budgeted around 17 in 2009. Now it's around 16. They say they only spend around 13. They're tremendously opaque. It's difficult to find out what they spend. But if we want to get control over government spending, education is what we need to get control of. It's a fig leaf for everything else they do. You've all heard it before. You know, if we cut this or if we don't raise taxes, we're going to have to cut band or indoor track or whatever. They hold these programs hostage, and people go along with it. So I think it's vital. In Colorado and Oregon and California, other places that had tax expenditure limitations on state growth and state spending, these were all undermined by education spending. That was the wedge, the sharp end of the wedge. So I think this is absolutely a necessity, both in expanding freedom and getting control over state finances. As far as the tax credit program goes, I don't know how familiar most of you are with education tax credits. Probably more familiar with voucher program. That's where the government collects tax revenue, sends a check to each parent that wants to choose a private school, and that helps assist them in their choice. So it's government funds going directly to a parent. In a tax credit system, you put the money back in the hands of the taxpayer who earned that money in the first place. So if you have a child and you have a tax liability, you take a credit off of your tax liability. If you owe $4,000 in taxes, spend $4,000 on tuition, then you owe the state nothing. It wipes out your tax. Dollar for dollar. So it basically puts you in control of that money. Now, for people who don't have a large tax liability, that is dealt with through a donation tax credit, and that's been the most popular form of tax credit across the country. This is where a wealthier individual or business or both donate to a scholarship granting organization. They take a dollar for dollar credit off their tax liability. So if a business has a $10,000 liability, they donate $10,000 for supporting the choice of lower income families in private education. they owe the state nothing. So the feature of this that I really like over and above vouchers is that it puts taxpayers, the people who earn the money, in control and adds a layer of private accountability in private organizations that are helping low-income people and puts families directly in charge of the money that they earned. Vouchers also, in addition, in Virginia, violate the state constitution. It's not much of a live issue, and also has a unfortunate racial history, which as John mentioned, is brought up every time school choice comes up, whether it's charter schools or tax credits or vouchers. My favorite reference, I think it was by Senator Miller, was it? She likened it directly to slavery, that a tax credit supporting the choice of low-income families in private schools was the equivalent of slavery, which I found one of the most offensive things I've ever heard a politician say, which is saying a lot. There's a tremendous amount of resistance. Again, it seems to be the theme today. The Senate seems to be the roadblock. This can be overcome. Tax credits are very popular, more popular than charter schools, more popular than virtual schools, more popular than all the fads that you hear about. It's more effective than anything you could possibly conceive of in education reform because it actually gets taxpayers in control of the education system. 65% of Virginians support education tax credits, only 23 oppose that. And this holds across party. Democrat, Independent, Republican support is extremely high. So that's what we have to work with. What we have opposing us is billions of dollars in money going through the school system. So it's going to be tremendously difficult. One of the most important features, I think, to keep in a tax credit law is the 100% dollar-for-dollar credit, which recognizes this is your money, and if you are supporting someone else or your own child in a choice of their education for a whole lot less than we spend per child in school, and you're saving the state money, then you get a dollar-for-dollar credit off of your taxes. That's important for another reason. If you have any less than that, then donations actually cost people something. So the businesses making the pitch to businesses why they should donate to a scholarship organization is a lot more difficult. It's much more difficult to get the program established and to grow it. And the bigger it gets, the harder that gets. So it might sound like a little bit. The current bill being proposed is a 90% credit, I believe. And other states have that, but it's extremely limiting, and no one ever addresses the amount of the credit. It's never been changed in other states that have education tax credits. They do change the amount that a child can use in these funds and other aspects, but this is an extremely important one. The other aspect is to make it broad-based and apply to more than just low-income children over time. Because of the fiscal impact, this has to be phased in, I think. It also should apply eventually to all children, whether they're in public or private schools. You shouldn't be penalized because you made the sacrifice to support your child in a private school. That also, because of the way the fiscal situation works out on it, has to be phased in. If you have all the private school kids taking a credit, it's going to be a huge cost to the state. If you do it over time, each kid who moves from public to private school saves a lot of money at the state and even more at the local level because the local governments aren't kicking in any funds to this. We're talking in a 5-year period about $400 million in just the first 5 years of the program. At the state level, it's not going to be a huge savings, but it's going to be something. It's going to be $50 million. Now, the tax credit is the only one that saves money. We have tax credits for probably 24 things in this state, from the Hollywood film tax credit to old buildings, open lands, name it, it's probably there. And one of the arguments people are going to say, oh, we can't afford this. Well, then why don't we get rid of every other credit? Because investing in our children is more important than investing in Hollywood. Having a more effective, efficient investment in our education is the most important thing we can do. We can't spend more public funds. We're out of money. We can't continue to grow what we're spending in the public schools. It's already gone up 44% since 2002. how much is enough? So what we need is a more effective, efficient way of investing in our children, one that expands choices and improves academic performance. One of the states that I look to as a model, it has some problems and we need a broader bill, is Florida. It has a $140 million cap, indefinite growth provision, so every year it can grow by 25% if it's fully utilized. And it's got bipartisan support now. 40% of Democrats voted for a major expansion this year, 52% of the Black Caucus. So this is something that very quickly becomes bipartisan. It's going to be a huge fight initially, but a broader-based bill, one that is actually going to be successful and impact positively the financial state of Virginia and education, is going to be easier in the end, I think, to get through, because it actually offers something to a wide range of people and offers to actually improve education. So I think it's really important to do it right, to get it right, because otherwise it'll be another 10 years before this is revisited.